Those who are watching this transformation will think that you have suddenly become magical. They will want to know what magic wand you have found. And you will say to them, I made peace with me. I stopped finding fault with me. I stopped finding fault with you. I stopped looking for reasons to feel bad, and I started looking for reasons to feel good. I stopped making the worst of things, and I started making the best of things. I stopped asking other people to be the reason for me feeling better, and I decided that I could be the reason for me feeling better. And in that decision, I found ultimate freedom. And when you're free, you just gotta feel good. That is one of my favorite quotes from Abraham Hicks, and it just felt very fitting for this video. Hi, hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sin City Sarah. If you have been here before, I am not the same Sarah that you once knew. If you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video, for listening to what I have to say, and for wanting to get to know me a little bit deeper. When I started this YouTube channel at the end of 2020, I started it because I was feeling so much pressure from myself that 2020 had finally given me the time at home where I could be in a creative space, where I could make content, where I could make videos. YouTube has always been something that I really wanted, that I wanted to get online, I wanted to share, I wanted to make videos, and it's something that has been on my heart for years and years and years now, but I had never made it a priority because of timing in my life. Before the pandemic, I was working at a bank. I had a professional job. I was working sometimes 50, 60 hours a week, and YouTube did not seem like it was able to fit into my life at the time, and I had kept pushing it off and pushing it off. And at the end of 2020, I had felt so much personal pressure from myself, like, you finally have the time, you're at home, you're able to create. And I started feeling guilty for not following through with that desire, with that passion. And I said, you know what? I am not ending 2020 without creating a YouTube channel. And I did just that. It was New Year's Eve of 2020 that I uploaded my very first video to YouTube. That video is no longer available on my channel. I do have it private. It was a Q&A that got a little dirty, was definitely 18 and over, and although I loved it, I absolutely loved it, and I loved being vulnerable and open and sharing my knowledge and my experience on some of the questions that had come through, it quickly became apparent to me that not everybody else in my life supported me sharing that kind of content, which was understandable at the time. And I started making vlogs about my daily life, much of which we were still in lockdown, or we were at least social distancing. So, you know, it was kind of like, you know, my daily life. And at the time, I was so into watching UFC, into MMA. I had become a huge fan of that during 2020, and became really exciting for me to film my fight night vlogs, where you guys kind of got to see, you know, what I was eating, drinking, my live reactions to the fights. And I started kind of getting into a routine of uploading that kind of content, which, looking back, I was so excited because in the motions of doing it, I felt like, oh my gosh, here I am, I'm actually doing it. Like, I'm making these videos and I'm sharing. And it was very exciting. And I loved the creation part, like piecing the videos together, the editing side of things, and kind of trying to come up with videos, and just being in that creative brain, like, was so exciting to me. I knew since this desire has been placed inside me to share on YouTube what it was that I was intended to share, and that is my personal life and things that I have been through, traumas that I have been through and that I've overcome. Since I was 18 years old, the first time that I was physically abused, I told myself, this is not for nothing. All of this is not happening for no reason. There's a purpose for it, and someday somebody is going to feel less pain, less alone, because I'm going to share what I went through. And I always have just known, right, that I was supposed to share things that I went through. And throughout my life, the more traumas that I continued to endure, I would tell myself, this is not happening for nothing. There's a purpose for this. There's a reason for this. So it's always been clear to me what I was supposed to be doing. However, when I actually got on YouTube in 2020, I was extremely depressed, extremely anxious, and I was very, very mentally ill. And although it felt so good to be opening up and to be sharing in this way, I was very sick. And it came to a head in early 2021 where I had to make some dramatic changes in my life. It happened very quickly. It was unplanned. I was unprepared. But it came a point where I had to take control over what was happening in my environment. I had to take action in my life, because it became apparent to me what was making me ill and what was causing the depression and the anxiety, right? So in 2021, I abruptly started making changes in my life. And at which point it kind of became public knowledge to a little bit, at least. There were things being said about me online, people talking about me, about my family, about my situation, that they had no idea what was actually going on. And it became a very toxic place for me to be online. I am no influencer, I am no celebrity, I am just a regular woman, a suburban mom, wife at the time, and I really was a nobody. But in the MMA community, people have told me many, many times that I have what is called MMA clout. And that's because when I started tweeting about the fights, I was tweeting live, I was making MMA content, it brought in the MMA community, and I gained quite a few followers on Twitter pretty quickly, which never meant much to me, but to other people it means a lot. And I've constantly been told, like, you have MMA clout. But what that caused me is when people started picking up little pieces about my life and what was going on with me, they started to gossip about it, and rumors were swirling about me. I knew exactly what was being said, who and where it came from. I knew why. I was able to recognize that right away. The person who initially started with the hate smearing was someone who actually told me at one point that they loved me very dearly and they cared about me very much, and they created this narrative in their mind for myself and for them, and they went really deep into evolving emotions for me and feeling a certain way about me that was not reciprocated. When they had found out about things going on in my life, when they gathered enough information, they started talking about me and gossiping and spreading hate and spreading lies. At that point, there was an understanding within myself that sometimes you just have to let things be and let them, play their course. I did not feel like it was my job to get online, to get on Twitter and say, no, this is lies, like to call that person out. I did not feel like it was my job to spread even more hate to them. And honestly, I just wanted nothing to do with it, because it's so clear to me that people who do those kind of things are just not my kind of people. They're not the sort of people that I spend time with, that I want to spend time with. I don't want to be like them. And it's so clear to me, like, that those people are really genuinely hurting if they're even capable of spreading hate and lies and malice towards someone online who you've never even met in person before. You really don't know their personal life. You think you have some sort of idea, and so you get all emotional about it, and then you just spew this literal hate online about people you don't even know. And I could see it so clearly. And I said, you know what, this is my time just to step back, let them do what they're gonna do. It's not my job, you know, to try and correct everyone's negative opinions about myself. It's just my job to continue working on myself, continue taking care of me internally, and then continuing to show light and love, because that is who I am. I do not fight hate with more hate. That's so far from me that I could not engage in what was happening online, and it caused me to really take a step back, to really just take some time to figure out, what did I really want to share online? Who am I really? And what is my purpose here? It's funny, I thought it'd be like a couple months, like one of the last videos that I had uploaded on YouTube, I'm pretty sure I'm telling in the video, like, oh, these are my ideas for content, this is what I'm gonna be doing, like, we're gonna get rolling back into it. And it just was like, everything in me said, no, 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 disappear, and go find yourself. Go find who you are and do the work to heal the parts of you that are broken. YouTube can wait. I felt like, oh, there's so many pay-per-views, like, I'm not making videos, I'm not putting out my pics, or there's this fight coming up and it's so exciting. Or I was also traveling. Last year I started camping, which is such a passion of mine, and being outdoors, and I would film things thinking, like, I'm gonna be making videos again soon, like, oh, I'll make a video about this. And it just is like, I kept getting this overwhelming feeling of, no, sit back and take care of yourself. And I'm the kind of person, it's my entire life, no matter how much has happened to me, I pick up, put my armor back on, and keep going, right? Keep going, keep going, keep going. Because once you've been through so much terrible shit, it's just like, you get into this system of like, well, I've been through that, I made it through that, I'm gonna make it through this. I went through this situation, which was so freaking awful and terrible and almost killed me, but it didn't. And here I am. And so you kind of get into this cycle of, what was happening is I had been suppressing all of my emotions for all these years of everything that I had been through. I had just been picking back up, wiping the tears, and kept going. And although I was managing, it came to a point where I knew that if I truly wanted to find healing from what I had been through, that I needed to do some internal work. And that meant I had to feel the emotions of what I had been through. I had to face it head on. I had to accept that these things have happened in my life. And it began pretty much this year-long journey now of rediscovering who I am and healing from the trauma that I have been through, as well as learning how to open up and share in a way that can benefit other people. Because like I said at the beginning of this video, I did not go through all of that for nothing. I will be damned. I will be damned if there isn't someone on this earth who is going to be better off because I'm sharing my story with you. I know that that is what my purpose is. I can look back now and say, all of this pain in my life and me sitting here at this very moment, at this exact time, feeling healed, feeling empowered, feeling loved, feeling grateful and more abundant than I ever have, there is a reason for that. There is a reason that I did the work, that I took on the pain, that I felt the things that I had been pushing away for so long. There's a reason that I went through the trenches. I've had many dark nights of the soul. And I'm here to share that with you now. I realize now that my purpose is not to get on YouTube and to give you my picks. It's not to give you my opinions on fighters and who I think is gonna win. It never was my purpose, but I used it kind of as a way to get the ball rolling. My purpose is to share my life, to share my heart, to share my soul with you, in hopes that you receive something from it that helps you change something around in your life. I'm no expert. I don't have any degrees, any certifications. Actually, my biggest insecurity is how I'm able to articulate what is going on in my mind. For years and years and years, I've been told that the things in my mind were crazy, that they were stupid, that there were better ways of thinking, there were other ways of thinking. I have been belittled for how my mind works, for how sensitive and emotional I am most of my life. And I'm finally at this point where I actually know exactly who I am. And I know that those are things that make me as special as I am. And I know that those are gifts, and that they're the parts of me that always should have been shared. And I know also that it's going to help bring healing to other people by sharing my story. But there is sort of this block when I sit down in front of the camera and I try and open up my heart. There's sort of, all those past narratives are still floating around in there. And it's taken me a lot over this last year to quiet those out. And I know without a doubt that sitting down in front of this camera and sharing my heart with you is going to lead me to the greatest happiness of my life. And that's what I'm here to do. What I was saying is sometimes it's very difficult for me to articulate what is in my mind. Up here, it's so clear. But when I go to say it, when it comes out of my mouth, sometimes I say things backwards. It's that trauma in my head. It makes me second guess myself. Sometimes it makes me hesitate to say the things that I really feel. And this past year, I've worked very hard on opening my throat chakra and doing just that, saying exactly how I feel without worry really of how that's going to be perceived, because that's my truth. And I've gotten more comfortable with standing up for myself, and I've gotten more comfortable with creating boundaries around the relationships in my life, boundaries with social media, maybe even with food, with everything in my life. I've been creating such strong boundaries this last year, and I truly feel like I'm ready. I'm never going to be as ready as I want to be, because I am very much a perfectionist, and I very much sit on the other side of the video when I'm editing, and I think, oh my gosh, why did you say that? You could have said it this way. You could have said it so much better. You could have expressed yourself. And I could constantly nitpick myself, but I know that's exactly what you do. I know that's exactly what so many of us have been taught to do. We've been told to do. It's been the only thing we've ever known, is to criticize ourselves and to compare ourselves. And I'm so over that bullshit. You may be watching this and thinking, okay, if you don't have certifications, if you're not a professional, what qualifies you? What qualifies you to sit on camera and tell me how I could make my life better? And that's a very good question. And without me sharing everything that I've been through, you have every single right to question that. And I find that it was only people online that had opened up and shared with me what they had been through allowed me to be open to receiving what they were saying. I know it's not all going to happen at once, like maybe it'll come in phases where at some point I really hone in on depression and what depression was like for me, and then how I cured my depression without medication, without spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on therapy, how I was able to pull myself out of my depression on my own. It's something that's so valuable, and it's information that I just have because I did it myself. Obviously, if you feel like, your life is great, you've never been through no shit, and you don't need to listen, you don't need someone else's perspective, then this just isn't for you. And that's perfectly understandable. The majority of the subscribers that I have on my channel right now were brought to me from the MMA community because they wanted to hear me talk about fights, because they wanted to hear my picks and my opinions and see my reactions. So if you're one of those people and you're watching this now and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is not what I signed up for, it's not. And that's exactly why I said at the beginning of this video, I am not the same Sarah that you once knew. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you here what I have been through in my life. This is just a part of the list of things that I have experienced. I'm 35 years old. This is what I've been through in my life. I'll give you a second to go ahead and read it. These are things that I have been dealing with since a very young age and throughout most of my life up until this last year. This is my trauma. This is my experience. This is what I've been through. However, sitting here today, this is who I am. Although they are related, they're not the same thing. What you have been through is not who you are. It helps form the person that you are. So every single thing, every single negative thing that I've been through in my life has brought me to exactly where I am, sitting on this couch right now, sharing my heart with you. This is who I am. This is the person I am. This is the woman that I am. After all of this pain, after all of this trauma. And that is what qualifies me. You don't have to believe that I'm qualified. If you're feeling like that, I give you permission to go ahead and click out of this video and go find something that you can relate to, okay? This is exactly what qualifies me here. Because when the general population face something like this, sometimes only one of these things, let alone all of this, it has a potential to destroy who they are. It has a potential to minimize them as a human, having a human experience. And I have seen too often where people go through situations like this, experience things like this, end up extremely depressed and anxious in this cycle of more medication, more doctors, I don't feel well, I'm sick and I can't get better, and their mind is just so clogged and so negative, and it begins this cycle where they end up in a trap. They're literally trapped from anxiety and depression because they've experienced something like this. And I'm sitting here today saying, I experienced all this and I've still come out the other side this, which is honorable. Sometimes I think, how is it possible that I'm still here spreading light? I'm still here spreading love. I'm still here uplifting people and putting positivity into this very, very negative world that we're experiencing after I've been through all this. Why? Why did I come out the other side healed and more empowered than ever? And what separates someone else from going through that and not being able to come out the other side. And that's what I've been working on. It's been a year and a half now. I'm completely changed. I am happier than I have ever been in my entire life. My abundance and my success comes from how free I feel. And maybe you don't understand that if you've never felt like a prisoner in your own life before. But at this point in my life, I am so free and free to be who I am. I have accepted who I am. I love who I am. Borderline obsessed, right? Because I've lost her. I lost her for a long time. And now that I have her back, there's no ever losing her again. And part of me making sure that that happens is following through with my purpose, and my purpose is just to share. So anyways, none of that came out like was in my head, like I expressed to you. I'm very insecure about it, but I'm also not going to sit here and overthink this video. I've been thinking about it for months. There is so much mental pressure for a creator to get back online after having a break for a while. People want to know, what happened? What's the truth? I heard this. Like, did this really happen? There's so much pressure to even turn the camera on and get back into the groove, especially when you feel like it's your personal experience. It's your human experience that you're being led to share with people. And what I'm not going to do is sit here and critique myself. I'm not going to spend 10 hours editing this hopefully 20-minute video. I'm not going to do that. I am an imperfect person. I don't ever strive for perfection. I don't even know what perfection is. All I know is myself and my experience. And I'm also aware that the more that I do turn on the camera, the better I'll get. And the more that this throat chakra continues to clear up, the more easily things will flow. And I hope that that helps you in some way also to be able to relate to me, because I know that I'm not the only one who sits behind the camera and then, feels the pressure of being a creator and the pressure of sharing. Especially when you've had people take things that you've said online and twist them and make their own narrative out of it and then use that as a hate scheme against you. So anyways, that's all part of the internet. It shouldn't be, but it is. But I'm here to be the positive side, the side where people do see that we're all hurting very deeply and that we need some hope in certain parts of our lives, and I hope that I could be that for you. If you resonated with this video, if you were able to take anything from it, and if you are excited to continue watching me on my journey, please do subscribe. I would love to have you here. What you can expect from my channel going forward is I am going to start creating more weekly vlogs showing you guys what I'm actually working on in my life. Up until this point, I have been very much in survival mode, in going through the motions and creating boundaries around my life to protect my mental well-being. With that, many things in my life have been pushed to the side, things that as an adult have to be taken care of, but because they felt so mentally overwhelming, I did just kind of excuse them. And it's to the point now where I have to start taking care of some of those things. I have to get myself a more of a routine, and I have to come up with a schedule. And so while we will be getting into me sharing my heart with you and what I have been through in the past, I would like to do it in a way where I'm able to show you what I'm doing differently right now in my life to prepare for the future that I want, now that I have a very clear vision of exactly what I want out of life. As well as, I will continue filming the trips. Amelia and I just took a trip to Washington to see my sister and my brother and spend some quality time with our family there, and we'll be sharing stuff like that, but as they happen. But the purpose of me sharing everything that I do now is because I am an open book, and because I did go through this and I'm on this other side. When you see me so happy on these trips, and when you see me just celebrating my life, I want you to know that I'm able to do that because I did the work, and because I am more grateful for these experiences and this joy now, because I've also been in a place in my life where my daily life was very painful. I was very sad, I was very broken, I was scared, traumatized, alone, all the things, right? So since that has been my experience, now that I'm creating joy and I'm creating the happiness, and my life is so different, I'm excited to share those parts with you also. I want you to see me celebrating my life. That is the purpose. That's what we came here to do. We were not born just to die. We were not born just to work. And it's taken me a year and a half, 2 years of completely switching everything in my life, taking the responsibility for myself to end up here. But I now see that it's possible. And that's the message that I want to continue to spread around the world to anyone who will listen. Anyways, I've said enough. I've tried to close out this video 3 times now, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to edit it. It is what it is. I hope that if this was meant for you, I know that if this was meant for you, that you were able to receive it. You're able to read through, what it is that I'm trying to articulate. And I hope you're ready for it. I hope you're ready for what's coming. I hope that if you're hurting and you're at a place in your life where you need some hope right now, I hope that you're constantly finding people like myself to continue encouraging you and reminding you that there is hope, that pain is temporary, that you're worthy of healing, that you're worthy of your regular day-to-day life being happy and filled with joy. You're worthy of feeling abundant, and you are worthy of doing the work to obtain that. That's what I was trying to say. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.